Hey, the reason why I'm doing this video is to talk about human trafficking, some of the signs, symptoms, and some of the things that go on every day here in America. Human trafficking is pretty much something that's done every day to ordinary individuals, and they may not be aware that they're being trafficked. They may not be aware of what's really taking place, but it is actually taking place, and it is a domestic issue, meaning it's taking place right here at home. It's not taking place in a foreign country. Some of the stuff that we think are going on in foreign countries are taking place right here on the forefront of America. Your day-to-day routine is just basically a normal routine. You get up, you brush your teeth, you do your hygiene process, and you get started on your day, right? Your children, it's the same pattern, the same everything. You're going to get them up, you're going to get them bathed up, you're going to get them started on their day, you're going to send them off to school. I once did I think you guys should have had like a testament from me or something on here where I talk about these people are attacking us with ill knowledge. So you have a logical day-to-day routine, but you're being attacked with illness, and it's ill knowledge. So this is an infiltration, an attack on the American citizen. I know you guys are hearing dementia is increasing, homeless population is increasing. You guys are hearing all these different increases in certain things, and all of this is tied to human trafficking. All of this stuff is basically human trafficking. It's a way to do a cover-up for this type of stuff going on. You're dealing with mental illnesses. All this different stuff is just cover-up. You're dealing with a higher increase of incarceration. A lot of times they'll lower the incarceration rate for quite a substantial time, meaning that crime is going on. It is rapid, it's rampant, and there's nobody reporting, or there are reports, but the reports are being erased. Documentations that were in the courthouse are being deleted out of the court records. Documentations of police arrests are being deleted. Certain things going on with certain people that were reported are being deleted to actually aid and assist in human trafficking. Now, on a day-to-day routine, we tend to have expectations throughout our day of the way that one should ordinarily live. When you start to see that the area that you live in is not functioning properly, this is a sign of human trafficking. Basically, what I'm saying is this: when you see the cost of living is extremely high, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, but your paycheck is extremely low, there's an issue there. This is saying that now they want you to do cohabitation. And cohabitation is a way for an easy infiltration. So you're never really allowed to get your own housing. You're never really allowed to live alone. If you are living alone, you're living alone through a program that has been set up in that area to keep and maintain control over you. So it may be a housing program. That housing program is ran by a company or an organization. This organization basically may be oblivious to the fact that that area is being infiltrated and attacked. A lot of organizations are not aware of what's really taking place. A lot of the law enforcement and stuff like that, you're doing reports, but a lot of them never received your report. A lot of times they're being used because they have a certain group within these groups that are attacking the people. So you may have a housing situation where you're living in a housing authority, you're being sexually attacked, you're being physically attacked, you're in a high crime area, although it's not as open as one may think and as out front as one may think. We like to say it's somewhat in the shadows of things. It's still happening. We have domestic human trafficking, which says, okay, you're going about your day-to-day activities, but yet and still you're enslaved. You may be getting sexually assaulted. You may be dating a guy. With you're dating this guy, but you don't have the ability to say no to him. You don't have the ability to say, I don't want to no longer date you. You're dealing with this domestic assaults and physical attacks for a reason. This is an attack on you as a human being. But you're still trying to function. You're still trying to go on your day to day despite these things are happening. You're dealing with memory loss. I can't find my keys. I can't find certain things. When you put things down, all of a sudden it seems to be removed. And you're not moving anything. You're not doing anything wrong or anything like that. That is an obvious issue. You also are dealing with people who are saying things to you. They are very disrespectful. They are very malicious in their address to you. A lot of times you're reporting the malicious behavior, but there's more going on because you're going through compromise. You're going through vision compromise. You're going through being blacked out. All vision compromise, the vision technology that a lot of people don't understand, that compromises people was actually used as a cure to wellness. We have so many different things that are going on. The technology was basically a way to actually make the blind people see. But at the same time, why would you have that technology in you? You can't answer certain questions about this. Your dates may be a little bit off, which a lot of times they say, oh, well, this is a thing of mental health. No, that's not mental health. They may not actually know time the way you think because their time may be played with. Certain things may be going on that they cannot actually register that is taking place. They're probably in hostile situations with family members where they have to constantly report. They're constantly reporting a hostility when they're not the issue. They're constantly reporting domestic situations when they're not the domestic problem. They're being attacked and they can't isolate themselves. That's one of the things about this human trafficking that one needs to understand. They can't isolate. This is not a black, white, or poor or rich issue. This issue has hit on several forefronts of attacking the citizens. The government may be sending in government aid or government subsidies and government assistance. Those people receive the government subsidies and assistance but cannot sit up there and basically save anything. The government assistance does not last a month or can last 2 months with one installment. And that's abnormality because the government usually sends more than enough assistance to take a person through a couple of months without having to reuse resources. But the resources is only allowing for a certain amount of time because these people are stealing those resources from you. When we talk about price gouging, the price gouging becomes out of control. You have to realize that they are raising prices to ensure that you cannot afford anything, that you maintain yourself to a certain stature of poverty. So you are forced into poverty and forced to maintain yourself at a poverty level. You're stricken with illness but cannot receive proper care despite the fact that you have insurance. So basically, you're reporting to the doctor and can't receive care, or you're having an inability with the insurance to actually find a doctor that's willing to accept that insurance and give you the proper care you need, despite how many times you have searched, despite how many times you have sought out for to receive care because you're not in a well state. So you may go months and months without receiving any health care, even though you have health insurance. These are signs that something is really going on in human trafficking. We have the responsibilities where we blame the parents. Sometimes we say, oh, they're not taking the children to the doctor. They're not doing their job and their duty as parents to make sure that these children are properly cared for. And a lot of times that is not true. The parent can be taking care of the child and having an inability of finding a provider or trying to get the child to a provider. So they're there, they're trying to get the child health care, they're trying to get the child needs met, they have set up doctor's appointments where the child can actually receive the care that they need and have the treatments that they need, but they are going through, okay, I can't take the child to the doctor. Why? Because I don't have the financial means, or I don't have transportation, or I don't have a way to do certain things. When you don't have the money to do certain things, you can't do what you don't have the money to do. On top of that, the area, they may have stenches and odors. A lot of times the people that are trying to traffic these people and are way up in those situations, they carry a stench and an odor. They refuse to shower. They will urinate and defecate on themselves, refusing to bathe themselves, saying that just in case this human trafficking ring gets infiltrated, there'll be proof that they weren't involved, and they are well involved in doing a lot of malicious and intentional things to actually ensure their safety. They will walk around and pretend to have mental issues. These people are not mentally insane, but very capable, rather genius, if I might say so myself, and brilliant in their approaches to actually doing criminal activity and creating a criminal organization. There is so many different things that are taking place that has to actually resonate with just an average American as far as what is needed to do a form of self-defense between human trafficking. Because you can be human trafficked and show up at a clinic that has signs all up saying, call this number for human trafficking. And when you call that number never goes through because your phone is hijacked. And all your phone calls is routed to a certain phone number. But when you sit up there and you report this to the government communication people, nothing happens. And that's the reason why nothing happens, because your communication never extends beyond the domestic or the local area. You're calling law enforcement, but it's certain law enforcement that show up every time. Or because the group is vast and it's large and it's a big group of people that have embedded in with this, and it's okay with certain things happening. So with them being okay with certain things happening, they show up every time. And their job, their goals, and their duties are different. They are to make you feel like you did something wrong. So you may be very well in the right, but you may still end up incarcerated. You may be very well in the right, but they'll still just vaporize you or do something to you to stop you from advancing yourself. If you don't like cohabitating with certain people and you are seeking your own They will sit up there. Basically, you might walk into work and you're fired. Your revenue stops instantly. If you're living alone, your house is constantly being broken into. You're constantly dealing with certain situations. How do these people have this much access to me? What is really going on? How can people enter into my home like this? Why am I dealing with this? Type situation. Then you have the vision compromise. And then you have the drugging. You might be given psychotropics, hallucinogens, and all this different stuff to aid and abet an illusion as well as reality of you being human trafficked. You may be one of the type of people that say, okay, I'm going to try and attempt to go on to my day-to-day life. So you're trying to maintain a normalcy in the process of being trafficked. So you get up, you create your normal routine, which is you basically taking care of yourself. You go to work, you come home. Your life is very subtle. There's no way nobody could ever expect you for anything. This is way you fly up under the radar. Others may be very well into criminal activity, but at the same time, they still flying up under the radar in criminal activity and doing criminal behavior, because remind you, this is the ultimate goal of this criminal organization who's doing the human trafficking. They want prostitution going on. They're into holism. They want the crime rate increase without nobody even knowing. They want deaths and killings going on without it actually being reported. That they want the missing people, and I know you guys probably have a whole bunch of missing people. They want the missing children. We got children that are being exploited right now and are missing right now that is not even documented on record as missing children. They're just documented as children that's in the governmental system as being taken from their parents. There is a multitude of things that go on with human trafficking, because you can be human trafficked as a little child. So you can be a baby and be human trafficked and used in sex situations as a baby. And this is considered the norm. Now, this is the thing. You have people that says, okay, well, we saved you from that. Remind you, sometimes the people that sits up there and say that they're saving you is very well organized within that group. So you have to know what you're dealing with. A lot of these people won't bathe or do hygienic things. Why isn't there running water in a certain locations of human trafficking? Why isn't there electricity? You're constantly in heat. You're sweating. Why isn't there electricity in certain locations? Some of these mental health places that assist and aid in human trafficking, they shut these mental health places down. But at the same time, they open up maybe a few blocks down the street. And people are still being trafficked through these locations. You have the jails, the jail system. Basically, people are documented as being released, but nobody has a clue where these people went when they have been documented as released. There is no clue what took place, and maybe there was a report given saying, okay, well, look, this person came to our facility. Their family say we came to pick them up. We don't know where they are. We never received a phone call from them. Our family member's been missing for quite some time. A multitude of things. Now we're dealing with fake deaths. So we have to know that too is a part of human trafficking. So you may think that your family member is dead and no longer living, and they are alive. So now this aids and abets in the human trafficking, because guess what? If you're cited as being dead, let's say the system has you, oh, this person isn't alive, this person isn't living, then the system has you as dead. but you are alive. And what usually tends to happen is that now you're being trafficked because you're thought that everybody thought that you were dead, but you were still alive. And so they do certain things to aid in this trafficking, which is vision compromise. So you may see somebody as your child that may not be your child. You may see somebody as a family member that may not be your family member. And this person is well aware of what's taking place, but their job is to infiltrate, and their job is to stay and actually make sure that you continue to be trafficked, make sure that revenue is coming through this criminal organization and this criminal behavior that isn't reported to law enforcement. So where you think, okay, well, this is my mom, this is my dad, this is my children, this is my family, it may not very well be. And you keep it up because of certain things that have already taken place with you, knowing well beyond a shadow of a doubt that these people aren't who they say they are. They aren't what they're supposed to be. They aren't doing what they're supposed to do. And that is right by you, you know. Remember that I talked about finances too. Anytime the cost of living is extremely high and the pay is extremely low, there is a problem there. There is people stealing from you there. Because the cost of living is supposed to match the pay across the board. So if you're only making, a few dollars an hour, and you realize, look, I can't move out on my own, because if I move out on my own, I won't be able to afford a place to stay. That means that there is an issue there dealing with human trafficking. The organization in which you may work for, or the group that you may work for, they may be oblivious to it. They may not be aware that human trafficking is actually there. I don't think they know the truth, you know, that all of this is going on, because this is what we call the underworld. We see the world in the day, which is us being awoken to, you know, what they display to us and their truth, and we never really see the true truth. And the truth is the world is a very dangerous place. It's an ugly place. It's not safe. It's not comfortable for anyone. Everything is attacking everyone. And it's like a predator place. When we sit up there and we look at aliens and predators, this is the society that we live in. And it's only a few good people that try to fight against this type of darkness and try to fight against this kind of madness. And a lot of times they end up in bad situations. These people have ended up in prison. They have ended up in mental health facilities. They have ended up a lot of different places. They have ended up homeless, honestly. And this is something that they pride themselves on, taking revenue from you. Okay, well, since you can't take the little we give you, we won't give you nothing. And they deprive you of work. So you may not get the opportunity to work, which means that you can't support yourself or provide for yourself in this human trafficking issue. So now you're on the street and you're homeless. So you might be living in a tent because the homeless shelters aren't safe. You have everything that I just now described, rape, all this stuff is just going on with that cohabitation area of homelessness. Because you're not really giving your own place. You're not really giving anything. And guess what? Guess who's oblivious to it? The company that's trying to do the right thing. The company may be oblivious to it, but there are certain people there that are acting on behalf of the company, maybe an employee. The employee is not high up. The employee is not one of the board members on that company. But this employee is pretty much the person that is mastering that company at that time and taking advantage of those people, causing the company to look a certain kind of way, causing the company to go into bankruptcy, a million different things going on. So we have to be aware that human trafficking has a lot of stuff going on with it. You may go, like I said, you may go somewhere. It has all these signs about human trafficking, and you're in a human trafficking issue, but you don't know to reach out to them. Why don't you know? You're suffering from memory loss. These people will abuse you, and you won't even remember how much abuse you have sustained. So when we talk about dementia, amnesia, and stuff like that, these are people that have been abused. When we talk about mental health issues, a lot of times those mental health issues are lied about, and they have some sane people there that they are holding there, drugging them, forcefully drugged. It's not half drugging. They forcefully drug you. They will come in with a needle, 5, 3, 5, however many numbers it takes to drug you. The same way they do with law enforcement. They come in with 5 people grabbing on you and trying to sit up there and basically arrest you for no reason at all. These type of things are happening every day. And it is a group that's well aware that they are happening. Now, this is the problem. The companies that's supposed to be protecting, the groups that's supposed to be protecting, a lot of times they would use the protector name to hide themselves. They would use people that you trust to hide themselves. Okay, so if you sit up there and you trust your local clinic, and you're going to your local clinic and you're starting to deal with health issues and stuff like that, they're using doctors to hide themselves and say, okay, there's nothing wrong with you, now get out of the office. So you're not receiving proper health care, and eventually your body deteriorates because you cannot receive health care. You may have an STD. They don't want to divulge that you have an STD. So you're sitting up there basically fighting with an STD day and night, or fighting with cancer, fighting with a million different issues until the last line. And when we say the last fight, we mean the last fight. And when we say the last fight, I mean you ain't got nothing else left. You just dead. And then they call it a normal death. And how abnormal is that death? They're going to label it a normal death, but how abnormal is that death? Because of human trafficking and the fact that they have a social network. You're going through human trafficking domestically, so a lot of things are connected. The doctors are aware that you're going through trafficking, but they may not say anything. You may tell the doctor, I have been raped. The first order when you tell the doctor that you have been raped, they must notify law enforcement. This is what you sign on to as a doctor. They may never notify law enforcement, but what they may say is, you need to notify your partners. And you're like, hold up, I'm not even sexually active. I'm not having sex at all. What partners am I supposed to notify? You may have done certain things to ensure the safety of your children. Basically, I don't want to have any children. I'm not sexually active. I'm not being sexually active. So you may be on a depot. You may have gotten your tubes tied. You may have been take birth control. You may do a multitude of things to safeguard yourself and to make sure that you're safe. And guess what? It comes a time when basically they're trying to stop you from taking the depot because they want to impregnate you. They want to reopen your wounds. Basically a normal tube is a burning and a cut. They may not have burnt, they may have not cut the tubes. So now you have an attachment. There's a multitude of different things that people do to somewhat, okay, I can reopen your wound because it has never been severed. So the tubes have never been severed, which means to be cut. They were never severed, so you can still procreate. And basically these are strategies that they use to actually be able to go back and do whatever they want to do. If you're smart, you sit up there, okay, I got my tubes tied and I'm still taking birth control. I'm not sexually active. I'm doing a multitude of preventative methods to say, okay, I should have been 100% safe. So if there is an abnormality that takes place, you can say, okay, well, how is that possible? And now you go through the counteracting. Okay, now they want to counteract what you're doing. So now they want you to procreate. They want you with a child. Why do they want you with the child? Because first of all, a child gives them a door of infiltration because you need assistance. You may need help. You may need someone to help you out with certain things and to assist you with certain things. So you're going through that. You're applying for certain jobs. Other people are showing up to the jobs, working the jobs. You have a million different people working under your Social Security number because you're dealing with identity theft. That never related to them as human trafficking, but it is a part of human trafficking where other people will work under your Social Security, your identification. They will actually do all kinds of stuff with your identification alone, and you will not have control over your life or your lifestyle whatsoever. I can't tell you, I have had phone calls about people from Chicago, all these different places, about my identity. I'm like, hold up, I never lived there. I don't have a house this place, and I don't have this and that place, and you're going through this different stuff because you're dealing with human trafficking, you're dealing with identity theft, you're dealing with a multitude of issues that are plaguing the American people. And these are terrorist groups that may be American or may be associated with foreign groups that are attacking American people and American citizens. Now, you start to think, you say, okay, well, I'm going to go take up arms, Let me go and fight for my country. Let me take up arms because if my country needs me, I'm going to fight for my country, And truth be told, when you're trying to get into government or you're trying to start working for the government, you may be denied. So you're not given that opportunity. They may do an age limit. You can sign an age waiver for your age limit, but you can't get into that because you're dealing with what? Human trafficking. Who wants you to be connected to anything? These are the realizations, and truth be told, how is it that one person can maintain this much control over individuals? There are ways that people are, we call it an extended state of animation. Basically, you can sit comatose and a person can play with you mentally in an extended state of animation. So we're dealing with more than just an ignorant person. This person is ignorant to the degree that they are attacking people here in the United States that pose no threat to them or have never posed a threat. But at the same time, they're brilliant when it comes to the execution of criminal behavior, criminal organization, criminal activities, and incorporating criminal things into place to actually steal from those people and to take from those people. So we have to really be careful and ensure that things are going the way it's supposed to go. Some of these groups have been paying our rent, our lights, our water, our food, and they are bragging on the fact, okay, well, we're paying all of this stuff, and you're thinking that, okay, how is it they're bragging on this when they're using government issued stuff? And it's as if there is no government in place whatsoever. It's as if there is no governmental organizations, there is no government in place whatsoever. Everything is just out of control. It's pure mayhem. And you having to survive amongst it. But consider yourself lucky because you may be the one that may be aware of these things. So now you are aware of it. So that's just part of awakening. Knowing is half the battle. We talk about this all the time. Knowing is just half the battle, but there's a lot more that has to take place to go on. You have to train, you have to study, you have to show yourself approved to certain degrees of certain things because it is an actual all-out attack. And there isn't many ways that you can protect yourself. I always tell people, man, seek after God. Seek after it biblically. Because when you start sitting up there and getting into the religious portion of it, you start to realize this thing has been going on since biblical times. This mayhem and anarchy has been going on since biblical times, and you are oblivious to it. Imagine you going on your day-to-day life never being awakened to the fact that, hey, you're under attack. But now that you are awakened to it, now you're going through what one may say torture. It's very treacherous when you're sitting up there and you're trying to get people to understand what's going on, and they can't even register it because they're under another person's control mentally. Because these people are using logic to do illogical things. They're using psychology to infiltrate people's day-to-day life and make them partakers in criminal activity, make them partakers in certain things that they should not be partakers in. They are actually doing this to little children as well. Can you imagine a little child being constantly abused, fed psychotropic drugs and all kinds of different stuff? How much devastation that takes on that child? How much this child goes through? Being raped, men, women, anything that wants to come in that room and take advantage of that child has to go through that. Who do you really think begins to become a partner? They know these people aren't for them, but at the same time, they have no other choice but to partner with them, partner with the victim, partner with the person that's victimizing them. So the victim is partnering up with the criminal that's victimizing them. They have no other choice. It's like a child. They have no other choice. You have grown people being put in this same state like a child. They're doing everything that they can do, but they have no other choice but to try to function amongst the chaos. Because there's really not nothing they can do, because the state that they're in is extended state, extended animation state. Basically, they can't remove themselves. They can't take themselves out of the situation that they're in. So now they're stuck in this comatose state, extended state, for quite some time with the inability to actually correct anything. So we have to be careful when approaching some of this human trafficking stuff, because it has been going on for so long. It is a part of so many different things. And a lot of people still haven't understood. I told my daughter, and I tell them all the time, I say, I don't want you guys dating. I tell my son the same thing. I don't want my sons dating. I don't want my daughters dating. Why don't I want them dating? The people that are around us aren't like, I don't know how else to say it. They're not kind. They're not good people. And I'm going to be real with you. When you're a kind, good person, you know, I always tell people this. I try to always have a positive attitude. I always try to surround myself around positive people. But when you're forced to be surrounded by negative people with negative attitudes, negative teachings, bad principles, all of this different stuff, and you're forced to deal with these type of people, at some point there's a breaking point where sometimes you get out of pocket a little bit because of your surroundings. If you could stop the surroundings, because I'm one person, I really don't want negative people around me, but in this day and society, it's a forceful situation for you to have to deal with negative, nasty, manipulative, deceptive people. I'm going to be real with you. You're dealing with a group of people that say, I love you, and will sit up there and destroy you at the same time. So they're saying, oh, I love you. Yeah, I love you. Or whatever. But this is the person that's displaying to you that they have nothing but hatred in their heart for you. You have to really be careful, because dealing with these human trafficking situations is a big issue. I remember at one time I couldn't even fast. Every time I would sit up there and try to fast, I would be picked up and pretty much put in jail, all kinds of stuff. You have to know what you're doing. And you're like, okay, well, what are you putting me in jail for? Oh, we just got a pickup order. Just a pickup order? What type of mess is this? What type of pickup order? What am I going here for? What is the motive? Oh, it's a traffic citation. Okay, but that's not motive to pick me up. That's just you sitting up there saying, "Hey, you need to show up somewhere," or whatever. That still doesn't give motive for this. But this is the type of stuff that goes on. So you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of what these people are doing. They will sit up there and use certain tactics. They think that they're brilliant and smart at certain things. And if you're not awakened, because they're feeding you drugs, or they're feeding you hallucinants, or they're trying to sit up there and erase certain memories. They're sitting up there, they're basically embedding devices into your mind to erase what you saw or what you have knowledge of. So all of this is brain infiltration. It deals with neuroscience. So if you're studying neuroscience, you know that the brain sits up there and sends communications to different nerves to make sure the nerves do what it's supposed to do. So these people sit up there and get off on damaging the nerves, the mind, the brain itself. And what they do, they put certain things into your brain. You're wondering why you pass out, why you black out at certain times. You're blacking out because there's certain things embedded into your mind that wasn't supposed to be embedded in there. You go through certain stages where you're dealing with certain things, certain types of attacks and stuff like that. There's so many different things that are taking place, and it's happening on an epic scale that we really do need to do something. When we talk about the city of the blind man, these people entered in with an elephant and city of blind men. To be totally honest, that's pretty much every city right now in the United States. We're dealing with blindness. And that elephant in that room or in that city ain't what it's supposed to be. Because we have elephants that are for the people, but we also have some that are not. So be smart and know what you guys are dealing with. I hope these words have encouraged you, blessed you with some knowledge, information. Like I said, all I can do is give my testimony and tell people what it really is out here. I can't get you guys to understand that things are the way that they are. And there needs to be a change. I can't tell you how bad it really is. All I'm just going to tell you is know what to look for. Guard yourself as much as you can from some of this stuff through biblical instructions. And hopefully these words bless you. Take care.